front desk. A couple of young fellows, schoolboys, had arrived at the front desk at the security wanting a tour of...
Well done! And out to the hooker, Sideru. Eru making the line, but the break came from John Lomax. He certainly was running with fire in the middle. Look for the runners off him.
Yeah, well, I was speaking to John Lomax earlier in the week. He was very, very keen to have a big one today against Auckland. We saw from the scrum, they took the ball to the centre of the park and then returned it with a set play. John Lomax gets through the tackle of Brady Mellum, gets on the other side of the advantage line, picks up David Iwi, who's played strongly, and Sideru, who hooked the ball in the original scrum. Shree played the ball's area, goes over for a sensational try for the Wellington side. It's going to be a very good effort and hard for the Auckland side to come back on. We see here from the end on camera, and it looks very, very impressive. Dave Iwi sides his options, takes out the last defender, gives it to Sideru. Very, very quick for a hooker, this young bloke. He trialled with Brisbane Broncos and Eastern Suburbs earlier in the year. That's a terrific try.
And lost possession. Donald Stewart comes up with it for Auckland. R4. Pickering out wide at that time. Logan Campbell running the line. He's just out.
Yeah, he did very well there, Logan Campbell, just to get there because he didn't have a lot of room to move. But look for the good footwork here from James Pickering. Nice little step off his right foot. Takes it to nice short ball to Logan Campbell, and he just gets pushed in by Tuko Graham at the corner post.
Keep it on, Luke.
Victor Moana again doing some work for Wellington.
Gogi Rogers there being caught easily by the markers when running from dummy half. To be an effective dummy half runner, you really have got to scoot out wide quickly, get to the outside of the markers and then straighten up.
Still a coolness about the Auckland defence. They just cut off the options.
Yeah, they've obviously got a lot of pre-rehearsed sets in terms of returning the football when their forwards are in front of the ball. It's only because they do it with remarkable ease and composure. Again, that's valuable yards, and against a classy side like Wellington, that's a very good contribution just to get those 10.
Galbraith still seems reluctant to run today.
I think he's just biding his time, using the big blokes to take the ball up and run the Wellington side out of petrol before opting to offer some variations at the edge of the play the ball.
Ramsey again. Campbell. Had that marvellous run up the sideline, Campbell, a few moments ago. Back into Ramsey. Always there, always backing up. Wellington defence at 6s and 7s.
Yeah, one thing I have noticed about this Auckland side, Tony, there's a very, very deliberate change in tactics by Owen Wright, opting to use James Pickering off a second or third receiver, which is unlike the Canterbury game when he had him coming square off the ruck.
Double round with Dean Clark. Nicely controlled with his feet by Mike Patton.
Yeah, great bit of skill from Mike Patton.
Clark again tries to get it back. Galbraith. Perhaps a little lucky for it to come back.
Yeah, Wellington are in big trouble. Tony, over this next set of 6, they'll be very lucky to hold them out.
Little Ramsey. Stewart waiting. Clark. Pickering. Well, they're containing Pickering most of the time, but they're certainly expending a lot of effort doing it. Tuamavave. Patton. Back round to Tuamavave. Tuamavave back inside to Elia. Nice pass to Elia. And yes, referee had a look at that for a moment.
Yeah, we could see from a couple of play the balls earlier that the Wellington side were in big trouble. There was no compression around the play the ball area. There were blokes that should have been back on the advantage line ready to move up and gain the yards for the Wellington side on defence, and they didn't. We see Tony Tumivava carts the ball across, picks up Mike Patton. Tony Tumivava, great bit of school there, wraps around, looks for the inside ball from Mark Elliott, gives it to him late.
He's been making the yardage for them. Wellington still running with quite a lot of confidence.
You really think if some of those forward runs are going to be effective, they really need to straighten them up and not have the habit of encroaching too much towards the sideline, Tony.
Lots of running and not much yardage. To Samoa. Found Galbraith with the pass. Galbraith has support inside him. It's Logan Campbell. Logan Campbell for Auckland. The pass, the last pass, looked as though it might marginally have been forward, but it's been allowed. And Auckland further points on the board through Logan Campbell.
Yeah, well, Wellington are always going to pay the penalty for not being able to put a good kick on the end of their last set of 6, which just offered up possession of the football and good field position to the Auckland side. We see that Tuckle Graham kicks the ball direct to the Auckland player, takes it on the full. Look for the great run here from Matthew Tui Samoa. Manages to stay on his feet and keep the momentum going forward, and he gets another call from Stu Galbraith, who's been backing up all day. He does very well to shake Victor Aramoana clear to get an inside ball to that man there, Logan Campbell, who's been in sensational form for Auckland all year. He probably scored one of the tries of the year earlier on when Auckland played Canberra in a pre-season trial, and the one world of sport allows you to enjoy all the action. As this player here, Logan Campbell, he's a big chance for the future.
Should be a formality for Clark right in front. And it is 18 points to 12, Auckland lead.
This ball will go in the air.
There he kicks, comes off an Auckland player. Referee Jim Stokes is still saying last tackle.
Well, Arnold Lomax got caught with the football on the last tackle, and we see a great bit of skill here from the former centre. Arnold Lomax puts a nice little chip over the top, was taken out by the Auckland player. He's very lucky, that Auckland player, not to be doing time in the sin bin.
Chance here to narrow the gap. Points are there. So not only will it salvage some pride for Wellington, it may just give them the incentive to get back there and take it to Auckland for another 10 minutes or so. Galbraith. Right on the halfway line. Stewart.
Yeah, the markers are not chasing for the Wellington side, Tony, which is an indication that the fatigue factor is starting to play a part.
R4. Good quick hands along the line for Auckland. And Tui Samoa's away in space. Can he outstep the man in the corner?
Yes, he does. He does very well there to keep his composure. He took a little bit of a risk there, opting for the little goose step to try and shake off the tackle of the covering Wellington halfback, Tuckle Graham. But nevertheless, Matthew Tui Samoa, who's played very strong for his club side this year, we see the ball going through the Auckland hands. He picks up the last pass. Look for the little goose step as Tuckle Graham comes across, picks up the pace again. Oh, that was very, very close, but a very fine try. And it's good to see young players like that keep their composure. We see the ball there from Jason Lowry to Tony Tumivave. He picks up Mike Patton. Ball on the end of the chain to Matthew Tui Samoa. Sights Tuckle Graham, comes across, beats him with a little goose step and just takes the ball over in the corner. That's a sensational try and a number of good ones that have been scored today.
Got a double round there with Tuckle Graham, but going nowhere. Chip through for Parada.
Well, again, there's another misplaced kick that didn't really improve the situation for the Wellington side. I don't want to appear to be too negative, but, you know, there are opportunities there to place this Auckland side under pressure, but the only way you're going to do that is to get them near their own line. And here's a great run.
Mark Elia, back to the form of old, has Patton inside him, gets the ball away. Can Patton outrun the opposition, just making the line? His momentum carrying him over. And he's been given it.
Well, there's no player in the Auckland side that deserves that sort of reward than that player there who scored that very fine try, Michael Patton. He captained the Auckland side against Canberra when he played in the centres, and we see from a very bad kick from the Wellington side, Mark Elia makes a good 50 metres, offloads an inside ball to Mike Patton. Not only has he done the hard yards, he's put in a massive effort in defence and doing the hard yards around to play the ball area for the Auckland side here. There's no hint of a rabbit there as momentum takes him clearly over the line. The One World of Sport replay sees that good step off the left foot from Mark Elia. You can see that he's obviously going to commit the last defender, and he does. Gets a call from Mike Patton screaming for the ball. He has it all to do in front of him, and he's got good leg speed, and he's been in outstanding form for Auckland in the last couple of sides. He deserves that try. That's a very good effort from him.
Dean Clark raises the flags this time. 28-14. Auckland in the comfort zone. Tony Tuamavavi coming off these last moments of the game. As Wellington try and run in a last try. They might just get there from this one. Yes, there's space out wide there. Congratulations all around. A nicely finished move.
And that'll be a great confidence booster too for Wellington coach Tyrone Pike here. We see Jason Gilbert returning the football after the Auckland player from the penalty failed to find touch. We see Tuckle Graham gives the ball inside to his upper hut teammate Peter Edwards and stays on the end to back up and finish what's a very, very good try for the Wellington side.
So it might just be two.
Has met 3 times this year. Each time Northcote have won the Battle of the Big Cats, and just 2 weeks ago beat the Leopards 26-19 for the Rukatai Shield. But in Game 4, Otahuhu scored first. Mark Riley throws the long ball. Kevin Poliana finishes off in the corner. First blood to the Leopards. But then Northcote struck back. Andrew Brown offloads a great ball to Kenny McIntosh. Tigers take the lead 6-4. Earlier in the game, skipper Tony Tuamavavi scored a try, but it was disallowed after it came from a forward pass. This time, David McIntosh does the old chip and chase, gathers the loose ball, and Tuamavavi says, "I'll take that, and I'll stick it down right beneath the black dot." Tigers extend their lead to 12-4. Just before half-time, though, Otahuhu move it wide. Clark to Villamatautia, and he sets up Kevin Poliana for his second try of the match. 12-8 at the break, anyone's ball game. Now, sometimes at Carlo Park you can get bogged down, but this time the slippery conditions were a lifesaver. Des Maher goes headhunting. Kenny McIntosh gets up to check to see if he's still got anything between his shoulders. Now, a very tight second half was busted wide open when the replacement, Fa'usua handled 3 times in this move. Back from Marchi to Tuamavavi. Back inside from Tuamavavi, and Afoa outstrips the defence, including winger Rusty Matua, to put it down right between the sticks. The match-winning try to make it 18-8 to Northcote. Now, sadly, 2 months ago, Afoa broke his leg in a game against Randwick. And this time, in scoring that match-winning try, he injured the same leg in the same place. An unlucky break for him, but at least he's put his side through to the grand final. Dying stages of the match. Up goes the bomb. Northcote using their speed out wide to run the big fellas off their feet. And it's McIntosh up over the halfway. Gives it back inside to Stewie Galbraith. He races away to score the last try of the day and pick up the Player of the Day award. Northcote get the win, 24-8.
We had a lot of injuries at the wrong time last year, which really cost us in the semi-final. But this year we came out of it all right, and like today, it showed, and boys, committed to win the game and get into the finals, and that's what's our big goal for the beginning of the season.
Well, we play the open style of football, we're moving the ball around, but on grounds like this, conditions like this, it's not to our advantage because we keep dropping the ball, or we can't run on the ground, turf itself. I think Carver Park's a terrible ground to play on, but that's the way we've got to play on it, and it's been to both sides, it means it's not a good ground, but to us, we like the hard and fast ground.
So hopefully it will be fine and fast for the elimination final at Carlaw Park on Sunday. Mount Albert beat the Bulldogs, so now they take on the Leopards to see who will play Northcote in the grand final coming up September 15. In Wellington, the Wainui Lions were too good for Randwick. The Upper Hutt Tigers knocked down Petone, and now they go on the prowl for the sudden death showdown against Randwick at the Petone Rec on Sunday. And in Christchurch, Hawes will have come for the number 4 spot, this time with an upset over Easton, and now they line up Hornby for the grand final this weekend. Highlights of Auckland League were presented by Lion Red Limited. Well, the helmets are on in American football, and the big men of NFL have started that long haul to the Super Bowl.
And this week, defending Super Bowl champions, the New York Giants.
And he crosses for the line.
Good evening, everyone.
Last tackle. Couple of metres out. Bridge charges onto it. Knockdown for Stokes. Manly get the try. Reynolds will canter away. No one's going to get close to him. One end of the field or the other.
Great entertainment value.
Wait for it. Hold on to your seats.
Now Bell to Mullins. Mullins brushed off Walford. What a fine try.
Great performance.
Daly to Belcher. Belcher might get it. Yes!
I'm in total shock.
Looking inside. He's got support in Gildersleeve. Cut straight through. Burst through the tackle at Devine.
And of course, more league later in the show, featuring my team, the winning team. Yes, North Sydney.
We make your head spin around and around. Lift our 2 feet off the ground. Yeah. Rock a man, you burn inside us. We don't fire. Rock a man, you burn inside us. We don't fire. What else can we do? Tell me what I gotta do, yeah.
Ross Dunkerton was top seed in his Mitsubishi Galant after winning the Indonesian Rally 3 weeks earlier. Rod Millen crashed out of that event, and the Mazda 323 four-wheel drive needed to place first or second if he was to repeat his 1989 Asia-Pacific Series victory.
The roads are very rough this year.
I had over the weekend as my team rocketed home against Manly 28-16.
Lucky win. Lucky win. Hey, we've got some injuries at the moment.
Now, all they have to do is beat the Mountain Men in the weekend.
Well, I suppose if anyone's going to beat the old Panthers, it has to be the Bears. But in many ways, the race for the finals of the Winfield Cup is being decided by the injury list. Manly, Norths and Canberra have all had problems. And today, the Penrith Panthers' second row combination of Cartwright and Gaia both came through fitness tests for Sunday's vital clash against Norths. OK, here's Graham Hughes and Graham Lowe with the rest of the lowdown on Aussie League.
The Winfield Cup Roundup is proudly brought to you by Cadbury Morrow.
Welcome back for our look at all the semi-final action, the first weekend of semi-finals in the Winfield Cup of 1991 here in Australia. Lowy going into it, Canberra going up against West. Nobody gave Western Suburbs a chance because of the fact that they had to bounce out of the playoff against Canterbury on the Tuesday.
Yeah, well, I also think that Warren Ryan did a very, very good job in underrating themselves as well, because Warren continually in the media was saying that they were 100 to 1, they were 100 to 1, and I think he did convince most people, but I think West put up a tremendous effort, but they seemed probably in the second half to be waiting a little too long, or they seemed to me to be waiting to see what Canberra was going to do instead of taking the initiative a little bit more.
What about the likes of Meninga? He's found great form. Belcher's back to his best. Bradley Clyde was sensational. Stewart and Daly playing with terrible injuries apparently and still getting on the paddock week after week. They seem to be able to find another gear whenever the pressure's on.
Mate, they've got a record over there, and it's called injuries. Every single week that they play, they put that record on, and they've got Daly, Clyde, Stewart, whoever. There's a list of them. They, fair dinkum, deserve the VC medal for the effort they've been putting up, and it's called bull, I reckon. I don't believe them.
So you're going to borrow the record from Manly this week with all your injuries?
Well, I'm hoping we can inflict another injury called a broken heart on them this week.
All right, well, we'll see about that a little bit later on. Here it is, the sudden death semi-final last Saturday at the Sydney Football Stadium. The defending champs, the Canberra Raiders, their title was on the line this time against Western Suburb.
Gillespie, tied over the top.
Britt. Plenty of purpose in the Magpies. Quick hands from Taylor. Linton through the gap. Ricky Stewart won't get him. He couldn't keep his feet. He had Stan Presby on the inside. He was ended up under the black dot. Now that was forward to Langmack, but West still might get it. Yes! Well, the ball looked forward to Langmack, but the Magpies are on line for an upset. One more remaining. Langmack goes for a field goal, hooking around, it'll come back into whose arms? The Raiders are going to sleep. If they expect this match to fall for them, then they will be the ones to go. They're not doing the work, and this was unbelievable.
There just isn't enough resolve there. Now, have a look at this for a mistake. Very casual play there. He played the man and not the ball. That was fortunate that the Western Suburbs player, Simons, also had taken his eye off it.
If they wanted a wake-up call, they just got it. Daly, Meninga, great ball to Martin. Beats the tackle beautifully. Of Devine, that's a great ball to Belcher. Talk about a wake-up call. They're all awake now. All of a sudden, they explode from their own line. It was Meninga who got them sailing. Stewart has Belcher on a blind side with Wood to the open. The more dangerous Daly and Meninga. Daly to Meninga. Good boy, no! What a run! How do you stop him from an open situation like that? The most powerful three-quarter in the world. 24,792 here for the sudden death start to the semi-final action. It's on the last as Walters looks to Daly. And to Belcher. Knocked down by Taylor. Belcher goes back and gets 6 more. This was what punished them towards the end of the first half. Too many passages of play. Will it be the same case? Meninga! Meninga gets it inside the bell. It is. It's a replay. If you want to hang on against them for 6, that's one thing. But when they get another, it just proves too hard. Meninga. What a powerhouse. What a player. What an inspiration to his own side. Coyne. Walters. Another who has been an inspiring player.
They're the sorts of runs, that one by Meninga, that lift you, and then we'll look what comes after it.
Daly. Kicking your head, Daly. If it stays there. Simons tried to get to it. Forced by Devine.